fun tonight. My alma mater's aboard for the ride. North Hollywood, the Huskies having a great year. They'll be on later in the show with their coach Scott Fair and their brilliant running back, just a 10th grader, Jalen Burt. We're also going to talk to Campbell Hall, which I learned today is really in Studio City, not North Hollywood, but it's close. So in essence, I have two North Hollywood schools. And we have Dennis Keys, their fine head coach, great high school player at Birmingham, played at UCLA. And he has a young man by the name of Peter Barrio who's playing left tackle on offense, but is wreaking havoc on defense. So that's our guest lineup in a little bit. But first, let's bring in Tariq Fatal. Tariq, another fun week of sports in SoCal.
Yes, it is. I think we're getting to that point where we see kind of just the cream is going to rise to the top. Obviously, I know we're going to talk about it modern day Bosco, but apart from that, there's some big league games heading into these next couple of weeks, and we'll see who's going to win the league championship and who could earn a playoff berth as well.
Let's peek back at some of the big games from last week. We'll start with modern day, and they struggled. Maybe they were looking ahead. They played Jay Sarah. They won on the road, 21-13, but this surprised a lot of people. This wasn't an easy game.
Yeah, modern day Jay Sarah there. I think the score, yeah, it looks close, but I would argue maybe modern day kept things kind of vanilla because there's a big game this week, and that's against St. John Bosco. And
St. John Bosco hammered Servite. This is no surprise. They won 49-3. Both teams are undefeated. They're ranked 1 and 2 in the country and obviously in Southern California and California. St. John Bosco has just blasted every team they've played.
Yeah, and this is more Servite's down. So Jay Sarah's a quality opponent, and can put up more of a fight. That's why that score is closer. But St. John Bosco, Servite, no surprise there.
There's another game that was pretty big in the Trinity League, not just modern day and St. John Bosco. This one, Orange Lutheran and Santa Margarita, great game, and Olu won by 2.
I would argue that game right there makes Orange Lutheran likely to be the third-place finisher in that league, which gives you an automatic playoff berth.
And you're likely to be correct.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
And this is a game you were watching carefully, and I think you were at this one. Bishop Amat in overtime. In fact, this won a couple overtimes, 31-28. I think we might run a highlight or two from this game as well. Tell us a little bit about this game, because I know you were there.
Yeah, Sierra Canyon's first ever Mission League game. As you know, they're new to the league, and they were up 28-14 at halftime. And usually John Ellinghouse, the coach, is going to have a pretty good nod on that game if you're up 2 touchdowns. This is a double pass that they got in the hands of Dane Dunn, a sophomore running back. So things are really rolling for Sierra Canyon. They scored on their first 4 possessions, and then Bishop Amat came storming back, won it double
Bishop Amat.
This was the game-winning field goal right here. A couple of missed field goals from Sierra Canyon certainly helped to create that hero moment.
You were concerned.
Ochoa's kick is up and
On this show, you picked Bishop Amat.
Correct.
You might not be met with open arms.
Oh, yeah.
Were they good to you at Chaminade?
I think, I don't know. I think people are just understanding that's part of the gig. You got to pick, you got to do the predictions, and most people can't argue with you when you're right. So that's what I've learned. Like, you pick Amat gets out of there with the win. No one's going to come up to me mad when you're correct. You know what I mean?
You're right, but you're always right.
Definitely not.
There was one other game we want to take a peek at from last week. That's Franklin in the Northern League as we jump into the city. This is a huge game. I know you picked Eagle Rock in this one, so you're not always right. But Franklin won over Eagle Rock and now is in the driver's seat to get to the Open Division. That's a huge win for the Franklin Panthers.
Yeah, I think Eagle Rock has an outside chance of maybe still getting into that top 8 for the city section. Big game this week in the West Valley League between Granada and Birmingham. But, yeah, this one was on the radar, and I think I'm going to give Eagle Rock a second chance here. I think they're going to get in still.
Franklin always throws the ball well. They can score a lot of points. They have a great receiver. They're a very good football team. Time to talk about Campbell Hall. We're going to bring the guys on shortly, and I know you just wrote a little story about the Vikings.
Yeah, it's a team that's just kind of always under the radar in the Valley. They had a great year last year, but one of their quarterbacks, Isaiah Sapon, he left, went to Westlake, so I wasn't too sure what the team was going to be like this year, and they haven't missed a step, and that's a credit to Dennis Keys and his team. Kind of a different makeup the Vikings are this year, and they're 7-0 or 6-0. I don't know. I lost track. There you go. 7-0 Vikings unbeaten this year.
Yeah, and their quarterback is not Marcus Allen. It's Mingo Allen. I love that. So that's really good. So we'll bring in Dennis Keys and his young man, Mr. Barrio, Pete Barrio, who just wreaks havoc on the defensive front. He's an outstanding football player. So we're going to talk some Viking football here in a moment. And they're playing well in the Gold Coast League. They're doing some great things.
Yeah, I think they still have a couple more games to go, and they don't want to look too far ahead, but if I had to prognosticate, it's going to come down to Campbell Hall and Rio Hondo Prep, I think, is going to be the game that decides the league champion in that league.
All right, we're teeing it up for the guys. Dennis Keys and Pete Barrio join us now. Gentlemen, first and foremost, congratulations on a 7-0 start. Dennis Keys, did you see this coming? Did you feel going into the year that you might just run off 7 in a row to start the season?
Well, I mean, no, because I don't like to look that far ahead. You know, we tell the guys we want to get to 1-0 every week, you know, and, you know, I think as long as the guys put in the work and believe and buy in to what we're trying to do, we give ourselves a chance to win any game we step on the field to play. And the guys have been up to the challenge despite, you know, losing some key components, you know, with the returning quarterback, returning receiver, and, you know, all the guys we had to graduate from last year's team. These guys have been able to come in and put their hard heads on and get the job done.
Peter, talk about the success this team is having. Obviously, you're doing it on both sides. You said you're playing a little left tackle, but you're wreaking havoc on the defensive line. Talk about actually that dynamic from having to protect the quarterback, and then the other side of the ball, you're trying to get after the quarterback. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so since my freshman year, I started on the O-line and D-line for everything. And I credit a lot of my success to just being able to play tackle and understanding the technique that's taught. I think that's been really helpful. And just as a team, I think most of our DBs are playing receiver. Most of our linebackers play running back. People just play the counterpart to their position. And I think that's been really helpful to understand their position. And like Coach Keys was saying, we only had one offensive returner this year, and I think 3 or 4 defensive returners that are starters on defense. So it's been really cool to see a lot of the guys step up that were playing 2 or 3 last year. And I've loved seeing the guys grow this year.
Coach Keys, your background is so great, and you played for Ed Croson, you played on a city championship team at Birmingham. As I look back at it, how much of the Ed Croson way did you take into your coaching philosophy? Because Ed had so much success not only at Birmingham, but at Chaminade.
Yeah, you know, I have the unique opportunity to not only play under him, but to coach under him as well. And so I was, you know, coaching with him a couple of years before I took the job here at Campbell Hall. And, you know, I credit a lot of how I try to coach, how I try to interact and connect with my players to what I've learned from him. You know, and with that being said, is how to understand your roster and each player individually and as a collective group, right? Because individuals will act one way, but a different way when they're with the group. And it's trying to understand the psychology there of the group and as well as the individuals. And Croson was really great at doing that. And so I credit a lot of my success to what he's taught me.
Peter, talk about being a leader on this team. What does that look like? Are you vocal? Are you by example? And maybe some examples of how you inflict your leadership onto this Campbell Hall Vikings football program.
So, yeah, this year, definitely our team needed a new leader and I could be a leader in the same way I am this year. So I took the opportunity definitely starting from the beginning during summer and lifting and all that. So it's me and a couple of the other senior guys, and it's been great to be able to actually, you know, embrace my senior year and really be able to teach and kind of coach up some of the younger guys who don't always have the opportunity to get on the field as much. We've had some juniors really step up, which has been cool because they're about half, if not more, of the team. So, yeah, that's been really good to I think it's just been a great learning opportunity to learn with a smaller group and a group that knows we're not the biggest and that knows that we're going to have to go out and out-execute and out-tough whatever team we play.
You know, Dennis, obviously we don't talk a lot about Campbell Hall football, What do you want people to know about your Viking program? We hear so much about the Mater Deis and the St. John Boscos and in the San Fernando Valley, the Sierra Canyons and schools are a shaman of that ilk. What do you want to say about your program at Campbell Hall?
Well, I won't even just single out my program. I'll just say this is for a lot of the small schools that are overlooked. It's just good football being played and coached all over the place. And while bigger schools get more of the notoriety, I think if you could find a place where the program's getting results, kids are getting recruited, and beyond that, kids are leaving the program and having success and getting to college, no matter, where that may be, Division I or III. There's an opportunity for everybody to play somewhere, and a lot of families and want to go to the big programs, and they'll sit around and they're not happy, and they want to transfer around, and there's opportunities to play all over the place. It's just about, believing in the system, and I think that's what our program has been able to have so much success, is that the families we do get buy-in. They believe in what I'm trying to teach this program and what my staff does, and it shows on the field.
Peter, my last question for you is kind of towards the league. People, for those who don't know, for a long time, the Gold Coast League was basically, it was like an agreement that Paraclete and Sierra Canyon would battle it out for the top spot, and then everyone would just kind of fall where they may. This year, things are different. Sierra Canyon and Paraclete are no longer in the league, and Campbell Hall has a real chance to win a Gold Coast League championship. Can you talk about how that has impacted your approach to this season, especially with you being a senior? Or are you a junior?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior. That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
It's definitely been cool just because, my whole 3 years previously, we've been competing for third place, which
exactly
it always bothered me, yeah. Especially sitting, we sit in the gym for chapel and assemblies, and we look up at the Drew Holiday championships and our other success. We have banners all over the gym, and then you just see a lack of football program banners. It's definitely been something that's motivated me, and something I want to do and I want to leave behind is me and all my guys being able to have our names up in the rafters on a banner. So I'm excited, and I think everyone else is motivated just to be able to actually win the league for the first time. Just now that we are able to compete with schools our size, and also our schools are pretty close to each other. We got our quarterback and receiver who just transferred went to Viewpoint. We know a lot of kids at Brentwood, so it really is local games, which makes for much more rivalry, which I think is really fun. But I'm definitely looking forward to our league games.
Well, Pete, congratulations on a terrific senior year, all those sacks. I know, to me, the most amazing stat is you have 32 tackles on the year, and half of them, 16 of them, are tackles for loss. And Dennis, I've known you for a long time, going back to those years at Birmingham. Congratulations on getting it going. I know you're going to land somewhere in the playoffs. We're not sure what division you're going to fall in. You had success in a lower division last year, and I'm sure you'll have success again this year. And a wonderful start. Good luck in your homecoming game on Saturday. I'm sure you'll do well against Viewpoint, and we'll talk to you down the road.
I appreciate you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. That's a nice story. Campbell Hall doing well. Keys has got it going. Barrio is obviously an intelligent kid who knows how to play.
Yeah, no, they've got players, and it's always a program that kind of sneaks up on me, if I'm being honest. There's so many schools in the coverage area, and I was just glad to get them some ink. But I hope their playoff journey's a little different. Last year, I believe Santa Barbara, if I'm not mistaken, had to come down and play Campbell Hall, and I'll never forget. I went to that game, and it was at Birmingham, and Campbell had their, 35, 40 guys, and Santa Barbara Public High School had like 100 guys with them, and it didn't go Campbell Hall's way. So hopefully things are different for that program this year.
Yeah, but again, they got the program going, and they're getting to the playoffs every
No question.
year. That's
No
the
question.
most important thing. All right, another team that's gone under the radar, but not on LA 36, is El Camino Real, and they won again last week in their West Valley League opener against Cleveland. Every game's on the road because ECR doesn't have a field right now because they're still working on the field. They've had some difficulties. And here's a highlight from Javon Hall in the 32-20 win over Cleveland. The game obviously in Reseda. This is a junior quarterback in Hall who can run the football, and he was able to take it in for the touchdown there. A terrific run, and again, Jason Zabalek's got that team going.
Yeah, it's been a surprise, at least for me, for West Valley League, is seeing El Camino Real kind of off to a nice start here, and we'll see. You know, I don't know if they're going to win the league. You know, Granada Hills again plays Birmingham tomorrow night, and I think that'll see where everything lies. But ECR's kind of nipping at their heels, and maybe they can take down a Granada or even a Birmingham. If there's a year to take down Birmingham, this is the year to do it.
Yeah, well, it's a young league. Birmingham's young, El Camino's young. They're all young, pretty much. Cleveland's very young. But El Camino, like everyone else, controls its own destiny. They have the win at Cleveland, but they still have some tough games in front of them. And we'll have their game on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock live from Chatsworth against the Chancellors. That's a game where El Camino is a heavy favorite and should win. Speaking of heavy favorites, North Hollywood High School in the East Valley League is unbeaten. They're 5-1 overall. They've run off 5 straight games. This is as good as the Huskies have played in over a decade. Scott Fair has got it going. He's got a nice young man, a sophomore running back in Jalen Burt, who's averaging 15 yards per carry. I'm going to brag about the Huskies because when I was there, we were horrible. Guys, welcome to the show. Scott, congratulations as a Husky, as a former Husky player. I'm glad to see the program finally winning some football games. Yeah, Scott, so tell us about this offense you run, this wing T that nobody seems to be able to stop in the city anymore.
You know, I fell in love with the double wing. We actually ran it when I was a player at Valley College back in 1990. Coach Fenwick installed it over there and fell in love with it and kind of started to follow the king of the wing, Don Markham, back in the mid-'90s, and went and watched him speak at a clinic for a couple hours, took it to the Pop Warner level, and started applying for head jobs and just took with it and ran with it. I've never been a big guy on the spread, kind of like the ground and pound type of game of football.
Well, tell us about the young man you brought on the show tonight, and then we're going to obviously have him speak. But in Jalen Burt, I know you love the fact that he's such a good football player and has got a lot of great credentials already as a 10th grader. But why is he a special talent for you?
I mean, he's just an overall great kid. Everything that he does in practice, he's always trying to get better. He's broken every kid's ankles on the field during practice. And I was just always wondering, while he did it all summer, if he was going to be able to do it in the games. He showed definitely glimpses of it last year, going for 1,300 as a freshman. But his game's gone to whole new levels this year, and I think the best is yet to come. Just an amazing young talent.
Jalen, explain to the viewers what your game is like. Are you a make a miss in a phone booth guy? Are you a one cut and go guy? You know, and if you kind of watch the NFL, who might you compare your skill set to?
I try to, on the field, I just try to read the field, how I just read it as best as I can. I feel like I'm like one cut and go dude. Like I can make a dude miss too. I'm good at that. I feel like I'm very good at making a dude miss. But if I was to compare myself to a player in the NFL, truly, I'll say, like I watched Tavon Austin as a kid growing up more.
Okay.
Like
his college
film always motivated me to go, I don't know, just be better. Like I watched it before every game.
And well, Tavon Austin, kind of a smaller, fast guy. Is that why you feel like that's kind of more your skill set?
Yeah, that's truly like I feel like I could really truly do good. Like with my punt return, if I get my like just punt returns and kick returns, if I get my speed up more.
Love that.
You know, Scott, your team up front is not big. You got small guys blocking for Jalen. So how can you have so much success? And then you throw in the fact you throw, 3-4 passes a game, so people know you're going to run. How can you just run it down their throat with all this success when they know it's coming and you don't even have any size to blow them out? How do you deceive these teams?
You know what? I'm a big believer in out leveraging people, and size matters to a point, but we focus on driving the sled all summer. Did it in the spring, and we live in that weight room. We're not the strongest, but we're lifting 4 or 5 days a week, pounding the sled, and just making sure that our pad levels are lower than everybody else's. And the great thing is everyone looks at us and kind of smiles before the game, because we probably average 165, maybe 170 on the line. But, yeah, I mean, they got to knuckle up when they play us.
That's interesting. I would be your biggest player. Probably still would be your biggest player. All right, Jalen, the coach just said you've really improved this year from your freshman to sophomore years. Where do you think you've improved, and what do you need to do better as you move forward in your young career?
I feel like I need to just work on my size, just getting bigger and faster. But last year, I think I wasn't as fast as I am now. Like last year, I don't know. Like last year, I think I got more heart now. Last year, I always had heart, but I think I got more heart now. Just seeing how everything went last year, I just really wanted more. Like I feel like we could take it to like we could win city this year.
Jalen, talk about, you kind of touched on it there. So some success on the field, and that's not abnormal to see success and then think, wait a minute, if I keep working harder, I can actually have more success, right? So you start grinding away. Talk about how that has have you become a leader on your team by the hard work, and are other players seeing that and also wanting to get better? Have you seen that resonate through your team?
Yeah, I see it because it's like I feel like they seen what I did as a freshman, and it just shows like what other people can do. Like if he's doing it as a freshman, why I can't do this? Why I can't do what he's doing? I just try to motivate people to do like just be better.
You know, in the early 70s, guys, North Hollywood won 10 straight games. I remember this. And then they knocked out Warren Moon in the playoffs. And at that time, there was only like 50 schools in the whole city. So they beat Hamilton and Warren Moon. They advanced to the semis, played a great Carson team, and they had the lead at halftime, and then they ran out of gas. But my point to you is you don't have to play those high-ranking Division I open teams anymore. So, Scott, where do you end up? What division do you think the Huskies will play in, and how far can your young group go, led by Jalen Byrd? Can you bring home a city championship, something I don't think North Hollywood has ever done in football?
You know, I got to wait and see what the computer system spits out with Cal Preps. If we end up where I think we belong in Division II, I think we got a legitimate shot if we all stay healthy. What an amazing accomplishment that would be. But we're focusing one game at a time right now. We're focusing on league, and after the 10th game, we'll see where we land. But I got high hopes for this squad. They're playing really well right now.
As I look at your path in the East Valley, you should be the favorite. I know, Tarek, you have another question. I just think he's going to win the East Valley easily.
Well, that's what I was alluding to. If you had to circle, Coach, who's going to be your toughest test? Maybe it's already happened. I don't know. But toughest test in league, which team presents that?
Going into it, I mean, to take out the reigning league champs in Arleta, I mean, to me, that's a team to beat since they've kind of owned that league for a long time. Looking on film, just because of what we talked about, our size disadvantage in the trenches, we have a big task tomorrow because Chavez is massive up front. But as far as an overall squad, this is the best Monroe team that I've seen in years. Coach Senegal's got those guys playing. They're extremely physical. They got speed. And, again, they're also way bigger than us in the trenches. So if I had to circle one right now, I would say Monroe. In the trenches, that would be more so tomorrow night.
All right, I've spoken like a true coach, worrying about the game in front of him. As a Husky and a fan of the program, since I went there, I like your chances to win the East Valley League. Scott, congratulations on the team. Good luck in the playoffs, no matter where you land. And Jalen, continue to work hard. Be proud. Be a Husky. You're doing a great job. And so far, it's all good, and it's only going to get better. Keep it going. Gentlemen,
thank you guys for
very
having
much.
us. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having us.
All right, that's good. I obviously, my program was awful. I played on the worst team in the history of the city. So we were 0 for the year and scored 6 points. So it's nice to see the program doing well. That's true. We got shut out in every
Randy,
game but one.
you can't be a host of a show and be a homer at the same time. It's a little
come
bit
on.
like,
I'm never a homer.
I mean, bringing out like games from the 70s.
Well, that's
like,
the
what are you
last
trying to do,
time
make
they
me
went
look
deep
bad?
into
My
a
gosh,
tournament.
dude.
That's the last time they went
No,
deep.
you should wear your school colors proud, and I hope North Hollywood has a good year.
Yeah, well, they're going to have a good year. How good a year is going to be the question?
That's a fair question.
That's the question. It's a good year already because the city in their volleyball has selected a site for the city championships. They're going to Cal State Northridge. Let me check the date. I think it's November 1st. Their Division I Open and D1, November 4th. November 4th are the finals at Cal State Northridge. I think that's great that they got that location. We can see some pretty good volleyball teams there.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it's called the Matadome anymore.
It's got to be the Matadome.
No, I don't think it is. I'll check on that, but and I feel bad for even bringing it up and not knowing what it's called. But I think they rebranded it. It's not called the Matadome anymore. Either way, it's always great to have a next-level venue for high school athletes, whether it be community college, Division I college, or even something like the Coliseum or SoFi Stadium, which there was an opportunity and it didn't happen. But we won't go there. My point is, it's a great experience for the student athletes, and that's what matters.
Quick pick, Mater Dei, Bosco.
On other shows, I've been picking Mater Dei, so I got to stick with Mater Dei. I think Mater Dei, I'm going to go Mater Dei, although I'm not completely confident in it. But the reason I'm picking Mater Dei, until you knock off the champ, they're the champs.
I like Bosco. All right, West Ranch, and we got to go quickly here because we got some games. West Ranch, Valencia.
We got plenty of time. West Ranch.
Okay, I see you went through that quickly. Bishop Amat at Sarah Gardena.
Yeah, Amat. Amat, because I think their Sierra Canyon scare kind of woke them up, and Sarah Gardena, I think they have a little trouble passing the ball. So if you shut down their run, you got a good chance of beating them.
Yeah, Scott Altenberg's been concerned, even though he's 4-2, as you can see there, about his passing game. He's breaking in some new quarterbacks, so that's been a little bit of an issue there. But I don't know. That's a close game. Nobody scores a lot on Sarah.
Well, another thing, I don't know if that's the accurate record. Sarah had to forfeit loss last week. I don't know if that's news to you.
That stuff,
well,
man.
no, that's the truth. They played an ineligible player, so Sarah's win over Notre Dame ended up being a forfeit. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I agree
okay,
with you.
Plenty of time.
We got all night. We got 90 seconds. Granada Hills and Birmingham, and I know you're going to be there. It's a close drive for you. And
Yeah,
I
got to pick Birmingham. Kind of the same thing as Mater Dei, like reigning champs. Until someone knocks them off, I just don't see it. Granada Hills hasn't beat Birmingham since 2013.
Yeah, I got to go with Birmingham. Even though they're young, they got a great player in Peyton Waters. Granada Hills has those kids in the backfield, the Stanleys, and they're wonderful. But I'm going with Birmingham to win the game. They play city competition. They always seem to win. So I got to go with Jim Rose's ball club there. So are you excited to be going to that game?
If I'm being honest, I will be in the press box. I will be doing my job, but I will have the Mater Dei Bosco game on my laptop while I'm at that game.
The one thing you have to say about Mater Dei and Bosco for certain.
Nationally televised, by the way.
I get that. It's nationally televised. It does give the CIF Southern Section and high school football tremendous publicity. People talk about that game.
It's the number 1 versus number 2 high school football team in the country, and they're in the same league. It's like, it can't get any better.
Yeah, and the big question is,
why isn't it at SoFi Stadium? Yeah,
no,
yeah.
The bigger question is, the loser of the game will probably end up playing again in the CIF final against the winner of this game, so they're going to probably meet again, and maybe the most important game is the one down the road. Well, that's going to wrap up this show. We thank our friends from Campbell Hall and from North Hollywood High School. They're both having great years. The coaches, respectfully, Dennis Keys and Scott Fair, and the 2 players, Pete Barrio and Jalen Burt. And we'll be back at 9 o'clock next Thursday. You know Tark Fatal, Daily News, tremendous writer, coming along with me on this broadcast, and we love it. So for Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you again next week right here on SoCal Prep Report. Good night, everybody.